All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Amelia. This is Joellen, my amazing mother.
Hi.
She just flew in from Colorado, fresh off the plane.
It was a little bumpy today.
It was a little bumpy. So tonight we are talking about rider position. So we're going to talk about the 5 most common rider position faults and what they do to your horse, what problems they can cause with your horse. A lot of your training problems and issues are because of your rider position. Joellen is a rider and a teacher as well.
And it is true. I mean, I worked on a woman today and she had flat thumbs and she'd get really tense and tight. And I had to get her to use the tent. You've got to put, and it was so amazing. Every time her horse got upset, I'd look at her thumbs and they were squeezing.
Yeah. So if you're tense and braced in your arms, the horse is going to be tense and braced in their arms. So also a quick reminder that our rider position masterclass is only open until Saturday. So the doors close on Saturday. We've had a lot of people sign up already, which is really fun. I'm so excited for all of you guys that are a part of the masterclass. We are really looking forward to working with you. And if you sign up today, you get a free workshop on Hackle. So check out in the description above or below, and you can sign up for the masterclass there. So I wanted to start off today. We have a question from one of our Patreon supporters, which has to do with hands. So we're going to start off the conversation with hands. She says, I did my first show and the photographer caught my hands in all sorts of positions, including the dreaded piano hands. I made a conscious effort to keep my thumbs up, but my horse is very green and kind of all over the place. How do you alter pressure on the reins without pulling your hands into your stomach or bending your wrists into unattractive positions? He wasn't changing so much as to need to collect the reins more, just enough that I was trying to make the changes through my fingers and wrists. Thanks, Amelia. Do you have any suggestions, Joellen?
Well, yeah, I really believe that exercise where you take your hands and you put them against a wall and you have a little forward feeling in your hands, but they have to be steady. And then your first aid is your fingers. Your second aid is your wrist. But your hand still has this forward feeling. And it's funny when you ride enough to start feeling that, you're like, wow, oh, that's what a forward feeling hand is. And then, oh, my horse can feel my fingers. So that's my advice on hands.
Yes. Good.
Wait, I have one more.
Oh gosh.
You have to really get your shoulder blades down and make your core move with your horse so that your arms can be steady. I think sometimes if you watch yourself in a video, you will see how much your hands move and you'll see the ring on the bit move. And so then you're like, dang. Now, I have lots of rider position issues. So I'm talking about myself too, because I'm like, oh my gosh, my hands, I need to really fix my hands.
Yeah. Yeah. But I also think when you have a younger, more green horse, sometimes you do have to move your hands a little bit more than on an older horse. And your goal is as you train the horse that you get more refined with your aids. But that takes time and just practice to get there. And then it's also important to remember, I showed you guys the rider position scale that your hands are at the top. So your hands are kind of the last thing you want to think about. You really want to think about your seat and your legs first, and then your hands after that. So good. I don't know why we can't see any of comments on Facebook. I'm sorry. If you have any comments, maybe you can pull it up on your phone, but we can't see anyone's comments. We can see you guys on YouTube. If you guys on YouTube have any comments, I don't know why. Okay. So that's a question from our Patreon. We have a few new supporters on Patreon. So thank you, Paula, Christine, Lorianne, Tanya, Sherry, and Tara. So let's get to the top 5 rider position faults. The first one is unsteady hands, and we were just talking about that. So when your hands are unsteady, it can cause your horse to be above the bit and to be braced or stiff in the neck. But like I mentioned, a lot of times if your hands are unsteady, like if I have people say that their hands are bouncing in the trot or they can't establish a steady contact, I always look at their seat and what is their seat doing? Because if your seat gets more connected to the horse, then that's going to make your hands steadier. And then also remember that when you're sitting, like your elbows need to move, like your elbows need to be able to bend and follow as you're sitting. Can you see people's comments?
Yes, I can see
good.
Facebook comments, and those are the
perfect
YouTube comments.
Hello, everyone on Facebook. If you guys have any questions for us, let us know, and we will try to answer them on the session about rider position.
But wait, JC Wendell just sent you 200 stars. I don't know exactly what that is or how that works, but thank you so much.
Oh, I think maybe we can't do Facebook comments because it's like an event. I set it up differently. Sorry. Okay. The next most common rider position fault is looking down. I was surprised. Like I thought I was the only one that looked down, but apparently we all look down. So, what does looking down cause in your horse?
It causes your horse to go on the forehand. Like it's just enough to get you to lean forward, and then your horse goes on the forehand.
Yeah. It also causes you to not go where you're supposed to go, which if you've ever taken a lesson from my husband, you will get yelled at if you look down. So definitely like looking up and knowing where you're going, especially if you are in a test or in a show, the judges are really picky about accuracy. And so you have to look up and know where you're going. That's why we're doing this tonight, by the way, because we're going to a show tomorrow. So we're like, okay, we better do our Facebook Live tonight.
Wait, I have a comment. Okay, so while you're looking up, you can glance down. So actually the comment looking up is a misnomer. It's getting your head in the right position and pushing your chin back a little bit to get the alignment right. But you can, when you're in this position and you're looking at the trees or the clouds or the buildings where you're riding, you can glance down, but you just shouldn't move your head. So yes, you get a lot of information from your horse. Look at your horse, but get your head in the right position.
Yeah. Because you do want to like glance down and like see what your horse's ears are doing and see where their attention is, but you don't want to stare down at your horse, and you want to be aware of like your surroundings and what's going on around you. It also, we talked about in the webinar on Sunday. If you missed it, you should watch the webinar. It's only available till Saturday, so you want to watch it before then. But when you rely on visual, like to see what your horse is doing, it's actually slower to get to your brain. So if you can start to feel what your horse is doing under you instead of looking at your horse, you're going to be able to react quicker, and your aids are going to be more precise and more effective as well. So that's really important thing to consider, is that looking up and feeling your horse. Another exercise that I really like that helps you feel more is to close your eyes. Just try like riding around, or even just right now, close your eyes and you're going to feel like more in your belly, like in your seat if you close your eyes, because something like 70% of our brain is wired to visual stimulus. And when we ride, you have to rely some on visual stimulus for where you're going, but not all. So, and even like Joanne has a student that's legally blind. She can ride. Yeah. So that's one thing that's cool about riding. You can ride.
Hi, Katie. That's Katie. It's incredible, her amount of determination and spirit. And she goes to shows and she rides, and we try to figure out the serpentines and find all sorts of markers. But she rides by feel a little bit more.
Yeah. Which we all should do more of. We all should ride more through feel. Okay, the third most common rider position fault, these aren't really in any scientific order, is gripping and tensing. So yes, a lot of us do this. Why do you think we grip and tense?
Because we are so determined to get our horses to do what we want. But the thing I learned about gripping and tensing this week is that it affects your stamina, because if you're gripping and tensing, then you're out of breath. So if you're out of breath, you need to check that you're breathing, and you need to check that you're not releasing your aids. Oh, it's quote time.
Oh, I think now we can see the comments, maybe.
We have a quote.
Oh, yeah. Now
Here's the quote. We don't know who wrote these quotes, but the quote is, "A loud rider makes a deaf horse." I like that, because when you're gripping and you're holding and you're really trying hard and you're really shouting at your horse stops listening. So you really have to release, and that will help you breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also think, like, if you have a horse that's lazy or dull, you have to really remember that, to take your legs off more, rather than like keeping your legs on them all the time. It's always like that kick off, kick off, kick off. And then it's also important. One thing that I've learned a lot from Stephanie, I think part of why we grip is because we don't want to fall off. And so you're gripping with your legs, and those are like exactly the wrong muscles. If you're trying to grip with your inner thigh to stay on your horse, that's so wrong, because it's going to pitch you forward. It's going to make you ineffective. It's also going to, if you grip with your leg, it tightens your seat and your hips. So your hips are no longer able to follow the motion of your horse. So what I learned from Stephanie and I did the rider position masterclass together. And what's really cool about it is that we show you exactly what muscles you should be using, and then how to strengthen those muscles. Because what happens to all of us is that, like, you're really used to using the muscles that you like to use, like the muscles that are strong for you. And those aren't always the correct riding muscles. And so what you need to do is, in your fitness routine, like, you need to take care of your body. You need to exercise when you're not riding in ways that make it better for when you're riding. And so one thing that I love about the masterclass is that it really shows you, like, okay, what muscles do you use to put your leg on? And it's more like your outer leg and your glute med that you put your leg on from there, as opposed to gripping with your inner thighs. And that also is what keeps you stable in the saddle, so that you're not going to fall off. So it's really important that you understand, like, the biomechanics of our body and our horse's body, and what are the correct muscles.
Brian is over in the chat, and he's saying, yes, gripping makes you bounce. And that's right. It's, in a way, it disconnects you from your horse, and it disconnects your seat. So if you've got to relax after the aid.
Yeah. And it's also, I think gripping and tensing can come from fear too. Like, we all do that. When we get nervous, the first thing you do is like tip forward and clutch onto your horse. And so it's a little bit reprogramming your brain to, like, when you get tense, say, like, I'm not gonna like tighten up and pitch forward. I'm going to really, like, sit in, wrap my legs around my horse, and that's helpful.
I have this challenge on relaxing when you canter, and I've been doing this a lot recently on my great horse, is you canter, and then I actually just relax my whole body and let my legs off. And I'm like, oh, that feels so different. So it's just like, oh my God, I must be really gripping, because when I relax, it's just such a different feeling. So when you're cantering along and you're safe, really relax and just experiment with going back. Here's really relaxed. Oh, what do I really need to ride this horse in the canter?
Yeah, that's a good one. It's kind of like you have to go to, like, the minimum viable product. That doesn't really work. But, like, you have to just, like, be willing to let it fall apart. Like, say, okay, I'm going to just relax my leg, do as little as possible. And if it falls apart, like if your horse breaks or they stop going or they put their head up or whatever, then they're not in self carriage. And so you need to, like, get them there and then relax again. But I see that a lot with riders that struggle with stamina. Again, it's because of this gripping and tensing. Like, I have a student, and she's like super fit, and she works out all the time, and she's super strong. and she like gets tired, and it's like, you don't need to be stronger. You need to like figure out how to like give an aid and relax, and then give an aid and relax, so that you're actually more effective. And a lot of riding is using like smaller muscles and having more refinement in how you use your body, as opposed to like giant muscles. So to ride well, you don't need to be like a bodybuilder. Like you don't need to have like huge biceps and like shoulders and butt and quads. Like it's more like the smaller muscles, and it's a balance of flexibility and strength that you need to have to ride well. And so our two like kind of sayings are work out to ride better. And then I also said that Pilates is for riders what dressage is for horses, because in the masterclass we include Pilates sessions, and there's so many similarities, because Pilates is all about precision and alignment and flexibility and strength. And that's really what we want with our horses. So if you sign up for the masterclass, you will get, I think it's 3 Pilates sessions. And then if you sign up for premium support, we're doing live Pilates sessions with Stephanie. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I have to say, I get like the preview, and the course is amazing because it really talks to you about what muscles you need when you ride your horse, and what you need to strengthen to ride your horse better. And I'm kind of a fitness junkie, and I've worked out all my life. And these are different exercises that really emphasize what I need in the saddle. And it's made me think, I've even changed how I'm sleeping. So it's a really good course.
Yeah. But I mean, if you think about it, you only ride for what, maybe like an hour a day. And so then what are you doing the rest of those 23 hours a day? Because it all affects your riding. Like I got a standing up desk. So we're both standing up here at our desk, because it's really like bad to sit all day. And also your posture, like part of what the judge actually scores you on is your posture. And so you need to be thinking about your posture all the time, not just when you're in the saddle.
I saw one of our students today who's in the class, and she said she went out to muck the stalls, and she was like, I am so uncoordinated the other way. She said, I had no idea that that's affecting my horse's straightness. And it's so obvious mucking stalls.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, because we want our horses to be straight, like we have to be straight, and we have to be symmetrical, and we all have asymmetries. Like you may have had an old injury or, something that has caused an asymmetry in your body. And so it's really important that you address those issues out of the saddle. And that's really what the masterclass is about. It's like, here's what your body needs to do in the saddle, and then here's what you can do out of the saddle to help with that. And like for me, like I got bucked off and broke my collarbone and my ribs a few years ago, like 2 weeks after I got married. My poor husband.
Yeah, I have mine.
Oh yeah, she broke her collarbone. I think it's like a pretty common rider injury.
Yeah.
But the problem is, after you break your collarbone, your whole shoulder like is collapsed forward. And if your trainer's telling you, like, which happened to me, my trainer's like, your left shoulder. And I was like, I don't care about my left shoulder. Like I'm trying to ride my horse and do a left pirouette. Like I can't think about that. And it wasn't until I started working with Stephanie and a physical therapist, and out of the saddle was like, okay, here's exercises that's going to help you to fix your shoulder, so that when I was in the saddle, I at least had the muscle memory of like, okay, brain to that muscle, so that I could pull my left shoulder back. So it's really important. And also I think just for your overall quality of life, like there's a quote that's like, take care of your body. It's the only home you have to live in. And that's so true. Like if you don't have your health and your body, you can't do anything. So it's not only for riding, which I think is my motivation. Like I want to ride better, but it's also just about the quality of your life, which is super important.
Yeah.
So, okay. Hello, everyone. If you're watching on YouTube, you have comments. So good to see all of you guys. Let me know on YouTube and on Facebook. Oh yeah, we have. Okay. So let us know so far, what is your most biggest rider position faults. So far, we have unsteady hands, looking down, gripping or tensing. The next one, number 4, is bouncing in the saddle. So bouncing in the saddle, I think a lot of it comes from this illusion of stillness. What I mean by that is when you watch a really good rider, like Stephen Peters, for example, he was at the show a few weeks ago and it was so inspiring. Joellen and I were sitting there watching him warm up, and it's just like magic to watch him warm up. And so we're watching him warm up and he looks still, like he's on Soup and Casper. It looks like he's not moving at all. But the reality of is he's moving a lot, but he's moving in perfect harmony with his horse. So if you really focus like on his hips and his elbows and his ankles, and they're all absorbing that motion. So
I think one interesting thing, I think as a amateur behind Amelia and Joseph, I tried to be really still. There was a whole phase I went through where I tried to be really still, and because that's what people tell you, and it's what you think you're looking at, but you actually have to move a whole lot and breathe. You're right, Donna. You have to do that with your horse. But what I was going to say is I have video of Stefan on my phone, and I'll post it on Facebook tonight so you can look at his rider position because he's so solid. But if you look at Stefan and you look at Edward Gall, their feet are moving like crazy. And we try a lot to like still our feet all the time, but sometimes you have to look at them and go, oh, they're kind of absorbing the motion in the sitting trot. And I don't know what you think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. It's really true.
Yeah.
Okay. So no bouncing. You have to move more if you don't want to bounce.
Yeah.
Okay. The 5th common thing is chair seat, which I don't know if I was debating, like, is it chair seat or is it leaning forward? Because I think it's like either you do one or the other. And we should do a survey on the club and see if it's more chair seat or leaning forward.
I think I actually do both. I think I'm in a little bit of a chair seat, and then I get scared and I lean forward.
Perfect.
There's some video of me riding Mercurio and the transitions. Now, I only get to ride the horse, and they start filming immediately. So I'm just brand new to this horse. So I'm riding Mercurio. He's a wonderful horse. And my transitions are like leaning and out of balance because I can't figure out his transitions. So I have a little bit of both.
Yeah. Yeah. But I think if you're in a chair seat, what are some things that we can do to help people? The problem with a chair seat is one that you're not going to be able to absorb the motion of your horse. So like if you're not in the correct alignment, you can't sit the trot and you can't canter correctly. And so you're going to be like bouncing. The other problem with the chair seat is it makes your legs ineffective because your lower legs are basically up by their shoulders, which means that you can't put your you can't get your leg on the horse. So that's the 2 main reasons why your chair seat is bad. And then how to fix it. I think the tennis ball behind your knee picture. So you need to kind of engage your hamstrings when you're riding to keep your lower leg more underneath of you.
Yeah. I found that really is a good hint that helps you put your calf on your horse. Because my teacher was always like, put your calf on your horse. And I'm like trying to put my heel down. And I'm like, but as soon as I put the imaginary tennis ball behind my knee, I was like, oh, I can feel the horse.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this is what they're talking about.
Yeah. Because if you're in a chair seat, then your lower leg is basically like on the girth. Like your lower leg is kicking on the girth and your horse can't feel that. So yeah, it's not a good thing. Sometimes saddles can put you in a chair seat.
Yeah.
So you might have to really look at how your saddle places your leg. If your saddle kind of tips you too far back, or if the knee roll isn't really positioned right, it can cause you to go into a chair seat. A really good tip to know if your leg is in the correct position is to actually look, like when you're riding, look at your leg and you should not be able to see your foot out in front of your knee. So if you look down at your leg and you can see your whole foot, then you're in a chair seat.
Yeah.
Basically, it should be like your toes should be right underneath of your knee.
And I want to say this also has to do with your hip, that you've got to open up that hip flexor. And because we sit most of the time and we drive, and I just got off a 2-hour flight, that hip flexor gets tight. So you really have to stretch your hip flexor so you can open up your hip. Yeah. And there's a cool in the saddle exercise on your hip in the course.
Yeah.
Yeah, really cool.
There's like pretty much in the masterclass, we go through every aspect of your position. We start with basics, then we go to your seat, legs, and then last thing is your hands. Because a lot of times you're going to find we started this talk tonight with your hands, but that's really the wrong place to start with your rider position. You want to start with your seat, then your legs, and then your hands. And also when you ride, like 70% of your energy goes to your seat, about 20% to your legs, and about 10% to your hands, which is completely backwards from everything else that you do in your life, which is all about your hands. Oh yeah, and Joellen's showing us we got these awesome stickers made. Those are really cool.
He hasn't seen them yet.
Yeah,
they're really cool.
So everyone that is in the masterclass will get some stickers, and then we're also sending out TheraBands, because the TheraBands you will need for the exercises. If you've already signed up, you should be getting them. I think they mailed out already.
Everybody who was in the class as of this morning, your letter's in the mail.
Awesome. So yeah, you'll get your TheraBands soon. And but like exercising and working out I always like to work out so that I can ride better. And if I do too much and get myself too sore, then I can't ride the next day. So it's really about finding specific exercises that you can do to improve your symmetry and your strength and your body awareness. Just like being aware of your body and your proprioception is a huge part to being able to ride better. So, I was telling Joellen earlier, I was working with a student and she was like, well, I thought that my position was fine. Like, I really didn't think that I needed to work on my position at all. And then she got a new horse, and the horse had been doing really well with a previous professional, right? The horse was winning everything. And now with her, the horse isn't winning anymore. And that goes back to your rider position. And if you want to ride better, if you want your horse to do better, you have to improve your position so that your aids can be more refined and more accurate, and that you can communicate better with your horse. And also, in a very simple level, you're going to feel so much safer and more secure in the saddle when your position is correct. And when you are able to control your body, out of the saddle. If you're strong and fit and you get in the saddle, you're going to have so much more confidence and security than, if you get on and you're like, well, I haven't worked out in 2 years and all I do is sit at my desk all the time. That's not good.
Linda has a question in the chat. Is the masterclass for advanced riders, or do beginners find it helpful too?
It's for both. So if you're a beginner rider, absolutely, because we go through really in detail, here's exactly what you need to be thinking about. When you get on your horse, what's the first thing you need to do? And everything from how to get your stirrup length right, how to hold a whip in your hand, how to hold the reins, how to have the proper alignment. That's where we start, is with those basics. And then we move up into by the end, we're talking about turning and circles and lateral work and everything. So it's for all levels of riders. But what's really cool is that it also gives you probably you only get to ride. Most of you guys, I did a survey, most of you guys ride 3 to 4 days a week. So what are you doing the rest of the time so that you can expedite improving in your riding and having these specific exercises from the course where it's really okay, I'm visualizing putting my leg on the horse. And we tell you this exercise works the muscle that you need to use to put your left leg on your horse. my left leg is really weak. I have a hard time putting it on my horse. And so when I'm doing that exercise, I can feel that weakness in my horse or in my leg, which I'm like, okay, well, no wonder my left leg, right rein connection is horrible because my left leg is super weak. And so it's about developing that symmetry and that awareness in your body. But yeah, the masterclass is for all levels. If you're an advanced rider, guess what? You're still working on improving your position. Yeah. So like I rode Harvey yesterday and I'm checking in like, okay, what's my seat doing? What are my legs doing? How can I make my aids even more refined? Like we've been around Stephen Peters a lot. He's always tweaking his legs, fixing his position.
I always tell him, if I watch Stephen Peters ride in the warm-up, because I got to sit and watch him for a while, he'll put his right leg off the horse, turn his femur in and put it back on the horse. And you can see him to this day do that in warm-ups. And he's fixing his rider position. So yes, I think I'm kind of an advanced beginner because I started riding when I was 47. So Linda, I think the thing about being lucky and having Amelia and Joseph in the classes in my life is it radically jump starts my ability to learn because I have an intellectual view of what we're doing and I've got more muscle control because I've had to do these exercises. So for me, it's been invaluable to speed up my learning because I only have 20 more years left.
Yes. Joellen has dubbed herself as an old lady athlete.
Oh, yes. I work out. I guess, when you go to the doctor, they look at you, they're like, oh yeah, it's okay that your knee doesn't work. And I'm like, I'm an old lady athlete. Function matters to me, fix my shoulder because I have to use it. So I have this, when you're ready for the end, I have the Hilda Gurney quote.
Go for it.
Okay, so we were looking at a bunch of quotes on horseback riding, and Hilda Gurney has some of the best quotes. And so, and I've actually had the pleasure of watching her teach, and she does speak quite forcefully to her students. And so here's one of her quotes. That horse is a Ferrari, and you're riding him like a garbage truck. So that's Hilda.
Yeah, but it's true. It's like, horses are a lot more sensitive than we think they are, but we have to get in better control of our bodies to communicate with them because you can't talk to your horse. It's not like, okay, I need to use better words. I need to express myself. Like if you're having a problem with your husband, it's like, okay, I need to use different words. Like, how am I going to communicate this with my husband? If you're having a problem with your horse, it's like, how can I use my body differently and more effectively so that you're not riding your Ferrari like it's a garbage truck? It's super important. That's also, you guys, why the truth is that like the top riders bring their horses up to their level is because of their position and because of the refinement of their aids. So that's why like Charlotte Dujardin and Stephen Peters and Catherine Dufour, they're having horse after horse after horse because they ride so well. Yeah. It's like, it's a partnership. So part of it's the horse has to be athletic. Part of it's the rider has to be in control of their body and their position has to be really correct so that they can be effective.
You said in one of your videos that your horse learns by touch. And that was really helpful to me, that it's the touch of how your seat bones are in the saddle, how your leg is, where you touch them.
Yeah,
that was cool.
So anyways, that's it. I hope that you guys sign up for the masterclass. If you have already, we're really looking forward to working with you. Joellen's going to be helping me some in premium support. So she's going to be doing like a fitness and habits section, which is huge. It's a huge part of it. And your habits, I think that's the hardest part of riding. Even for me, like you have certain habits in your riding. So, like whatever, we've gone through a lot of them, like your hands are unsteady or you look down or you bounce. And like, how are you going to fix that habit? Like this summer, this is your time. You're going to be riding a lot and it's time to just be like, okay, I'm going to be done with that habit. I'm going to fix that habit this summer. and making that commitment and sticking to it and doing everything that you can do to change that. That's really what the masterclass is about. So it's like 6 weeks from now, take the masterclass, join the premium support, like you will see a difference and you will change, and you'll also see a difference in your horse. Like when you start to change your position, you will see a big difference in your horse.
People are asking, how do you sign up? And
so it's,
don't know.
It's Amelia Newcomb dressage.com/rider position. Here, I'll put it in, for those of you guys on YouTube, I will put it in the chat for you guys. And we're only doing this course one time this year. So this is the only time this year that we're doing the course, because we really do a lot with the students to support you guys. We're going to be doing some live sessions. And so that's why we're only doing it this one time this year. So now's your chance, but the content you have lifetime access to. So you can sign up now. And like, if you have travel or whatever planned, you can watch it and go through the material when it's convenient for you. So that's really what's cool about it. But if you want to do it anytime this year, then now is the time to do it. So yeah, so we're going to a horse show tomorrow. That's why I usually do Facebook Live on Thursday. That's why we're doing it on Wednesday. And we will keep you guys updated on how the horse show goes, right? So,
yes, we'll be working.
Yeah. So
Fun.
Thank you all, guys, and
Thank
have
you.
a wonderful evening. End.